Hi, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much.
I'm a great fan of your book, Startup Easy. I've read it so many times now.
So kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. And I think you should come up with the part two. It says part one, and I expect part two as well.
Right. It's there in the writing, since last 3, 4 years. I've been trying, but do not get time. But definitely, I'll take your words very positively. I'll definitely start finding some time to write.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks a lot. And about myself, sorry for my appearance. It's a religious vow. It's just pending. Okay.
No, you look so smart. Why should
Oh,
you?
thank you. Thanks a lot. So I'm the founder and CEO of Corva Services. I've been a serial entrepreneur, and this is a new startup that I entered into a few years back. And we are actually solving a problem of photographers, which is a very neglected profession concerning technology. So we are developing a SaaS product named Clicker for photographers. And I've already shared the pitch with StartupLanes executive, and I've had a meeting with one of your executive. I forgot her name for guiding us in continuing in getting the funding and other things. Unfortunately, I didn't pursue. I didn't continue. I thought this is the right time. I came across your session, and I thought I touch base with you. So we started in 2019, and we have developed the MVP is complete, but we have exceeded the budget. We had a budget in mind, but we have exceeded the budget. Due to COVID, it got extended as well. And at this stage, to move forward, we are stuck because of lack of funds. And of course, we need to do the marketing because the MVP is done, and we need to do the marketing and POC for the product. So we are exploring possibility of also taking a co-founder at this time because we don't have a proper marketing expertise in the core team. So I have a few questions with this background. I have a few questions. If an investor is willing to invest at this point in time, how much shares can we allot to him?
Okay.
Number one. And if the investor also wants to become a co-founder, can we take him as a co-founder at this stage? And how much shares can we allot to him at what price? Again. And to do the pricing, should we do a valuation to ascertain the share prices? This is the third question. And the fourth question is the most $1 million question. Can I get funding when there is no revenue? Which I've already answered, but I'm again asking you. Can I get funding? If so, how?
Yes, yes. Answering in the reverse order. Yes, you can definitely get funded. Ideas and pre-MVP and MVPs still get funding, but unfortunately, our angel network to be just we want to be a bit safe there. So we have created a hurdle there. So we are taking only accepting revenue making startups. That is the promise that we have made to our investors because most of our investors they are first time new investors, most of them, right? So we don't want to they don't have experience about this angel investing in deep. So we have that is why we are trying to protect them and not taking startups as of now which do not have revenue, let it be any revenue, right? So because they are first time investors mostly. Now later on, maybe after an year or so, when these investors mature, that moment we will be able to take idea stage startups as well, right? Because investors are much more dependent upon us as this moment. In the pandemic time, we have got lot many investors coming up joining us. So we just want to protect their interest. That's it. It's no hard and fast rule that ideas cannot be funded or MVPs cannot be funded. MVP with traction definitely gets funding, right? So two options for you: either you focus upon getting some revenue and come to us, definitely we'll get it funded, Second is you can get some funding through your friends and family at the moment and start getting some revenue and then come to us, but definitely come to us. This was your first part. Second is you asked about how many shares you should give. This is
Yes.
entirely dependent upon the valuation of the company. That is how you find out how many shares should be given. Suppose let's take an example. I'm making it very, very simple for you. 100 shares,
Yeah.
and let us take an example. One share cost 1 lakh rupees, right? So total company will be valued at 1 crore, right? 100 into 1 lakh. Now, if your company is valued at 1 crore, then if somebody gives you 10 lakhs, that is 10% of the equity, you just have to give them 10 shares. So that is how you arrive at this valuation. Now, there are three types of valuation you should understand. One is in valuation that is for investors, right? For the purpose of finding out how much your company is worth and how much equity you should give to the investors. This kind of valuation is done by us, that is the investment bankers. We do a fair share method of valuation, which is the latest and modern one propounded by me. There were 9 methods. I propounded and invented the 10th method of valuation, which is A to Z 26-point method. Okay. There are 26 several points. Second type of valuation that you do is for the government purpose, right? Only so while you have allot the share, government will be requiring a valuation. But generally, I'm sorry to say that is just like a formality that chartered accountants will do. This valuation will not be much suitable, right? Third type of valuation is for hard and fast rule for compliances that you have to fulfill for FERA, FEMA, RBI and all. That is a valuation that will be done through registered valuer, right? So not through a chartered accountant or someone. This valuation will be only through somebody who is registered with and regulated with the government and regulated by the government. And this kind of valuation you will be requiring when you have FDI funding coming up, or you have acquisition. So this kind of fund valuation will be required that time. As of now, you will be requiring a valuation that we do, that is for
Yeah.
you to find out how much value of your company is there. And this is extremely important because in case you ask for the wrong valuation, if you undervalue your company, then also investors will take advantage of you. If you overvalue, then also they will take advantage of you, because they will think that you don't know about the exact valuation, right? So when you have the appropriate valuation, you can save a lot means in crores of rupees in
Yeah.
future, because you will be saving a lot of equity, right? So that is most important. And then you talked about other things in terms of funding. Let me also tell you two more documents you'll be requiring: pitch deck and your projections. A lot of people have this myth of projections. They think projections are made to find out your expenses and revenue. Technically, the core objective of projections at the time of funding is to find out how much funding you will be requiring. So from valuation, you will be getting how much your company is worth. From projections, you will be getting how much funding you require. That means every month burnout, how much you will be burning. Burn rate will be, or the burn will be the amount of uh, capital which is negative. That means the negative cash in the company. Suppose you are spending 5 lakh rupees on marketing and your revenue is 2 lakh rupees per month. 3 lakh would be your burn. And to cover this burn for the month, you need to require 3 lakh rupees, right? If you want funding for 10 months, that means 30 lakh rupees is the funding you will be requiring. Most of the founders, almost 99.9% founders who are coming to us are making this mistake. They give vague numbers. They do not know how to depict, right? So they don't know what to spend, where to spend. They just show that I'll be requiring 5 crore rupees, I'll be spending 70% here, 50. No, don't give that in percentage. Give the exact amount, appropriate amount, because investors would like to calculate the dollar return value. This is the most important factor. That means, how if I put in 1 lakh rupees, how much that will become in terms of valuation in next 5 years, right? If I give you 1 crore, how much valuation I will get of my shares. And that comes through your revenue, your valuation, your projection, everything is required. And that is how they can take a decision. Plus, KPIs are extremely important. Key performance indicator, these are some ratios which gives a comparison, right? So if you are into, say, photography software, an investor will check how many other startups are there in this same segment, what is their growth rate, how much customer acquisition cost they are paying, right? They will check those numbers. One most important KPI is CAC is to LTV, customer acquisition cost is to lifetime value of the customer. Suppose you onboard one photographer, I'm just taking vague example related to your product. Suppose you onboard one photographer who gets acquired for 70 rupees. Say you spend 7,000 rupees and you got 100 customers, so 70 rupees, right? Per customer you got. Your CAC will be 70. This is the conversion, total conversion, including the lost leads. This 70 rupees will be your CAC. Now, if this customer pays you, say 100 rupees per year, and this customer will be staying with you for next 3 years, so your LTV will be 300 rupees, right? Lifetime value of your customer. So ratio will become 70 is to 300. Now investor will compare with others. If yours is better, that means your customer acquisition cost is lower and LTV is higher. That is a very good investment proposal. And investor will also compare with the other proposals received from other industries and segments. Whichever is the best, that will help the investor decide upon where to invest, where to put his money, right? Any follow-up question you have?
I also asked another question, probably. I'll repeat that. Now, for co-founder, how much shares would I have to give? Can I take a co-founder at this stage?
Yes, you can definitely take a co-founder at this stage. Yes, you asked another question. So investor should not become your co-founder because the basic concept of investing is generating passive income where you are not actively involved, right? If you take somebody with that mindset as an active investor or as an active partner, then you are going in the wrong direction, because that person, people who invest, they don't invest in active incomes, they invest into passive options wherein they might be employed at a salary, they might be an entrepreneur, at least something, would be having as their regular income. Investment should be our income which is additional, which should not be the primary income, right? So in that case, if you take that person as an active partner, that is going to hurt you too much because that mindset will not match. Plus, when you take money from somebody and you take that person in the decision making, that person is going to command you a lot and will interfere in your day-to-day decisions. This is a, I'm telling you from my experience of
Yeah.
consulting lot many startups, this is going to happen because whenever you will be asking for funds or deployments of the fund, that person will be asking you 1000 questions and will try
Yes.
to avoid that kind of investment, because for investors your investment will always be, your expenses will always be more expensive, right, than the market. If you say I want to travel to from Hyderabad to Delhi for meeting for a prospective client, then he will ask you to go through train, not through flight, because it is not about the investor. It is, every investor thinks like that. So better it will be, sign up a term sheet, do not involve an investor beyond the term sheet. Very important, put all the terms and conditions in the term sheet and tell them, just like you buy stock market shares, similar way you don't have to interfere in the company, right? These are your rights, these are your liabilities, you can access these rights, and you have to help us with these things. When this is defined, this is good. Do not take investor as your co-founder. Now your final question, can we take co-founder at this moment? Yes, definitely, why not? But it is extremely difficult for the other person to identify the growth prospects. So better, you get all the documents in place, show the projection, show everything, get the valuation, and on those bases ask the co-founder to invest and take the equity, right? And define, always go for a co-founder agreement before even you sign up, right? Whether, I'm not saying whether you have an NDA or not, it does not matter, right? In India, NDAs do not do a very well and good thing, but you should at least have a co-founder agreement, define the role, make everything in crystal clear, define the investment. And in case the investment does not, this is also a very common problem. Initially people come excitedly, they commit a lot of things. Later on, they will not be able to perform the same way, right? Generally, what happens is when you take a co-founder, it is your dream. It does not become their dream. They will always think that it is your company, right? I'm telling you from my consulting experience in the past. They will always think that it is your company, your product, your customer. They will never think that it is their company, right? Because this is not their dream. But if you find out by chance somebody who is having the same dream, why not take that person as a co-founder? Take the money also, good. But if you are not able to find, better to have somebody as a salaried employee having ESOP plan. This is far better than a co-founder, because generally you don't have control over the co-founders. If they are not doing things, they will not do anything, right? As a co-founder, you can't command them. They will say that I'm not your employee, right? So better to pay some salary to an employee, have an ESOP plan, give them equity. This will be giving far better results, and keep the investor separate. So take investment, hire employees, far better plan. But if you don't have, then take a minority stake co-founder, minority stake, and have an ESOP plan, give them sweat equity. More they do, better they get. Else, don't give them upfront equity. I will never ever recommend that.
Okay. That's a good thing that I understood today. I had all that in mind. Skepticism was there, but you have cleared my skepticism today. And thanks a lot. And experience and wisdom speaks. You have given me a lot of insight into how I should move on. Probably, as you said, it is my dream, and I have to be the whole team. So I was looking for having another person in the team, and it is better to be alone and do rather than take some more problems. So
you need to scale up, and for scaling up, you will be needing a team, definitely,
okay.
Right? So what I would recommend is StartupLanes can help you. You can just define your requirements in black and white, and you can become our gold members. We can circulate. You can utilize our network then, and we can circulate your requirements of a co-founder everywhere, or let it be job posting or something. You can utilize StartupLanes network. What you can do is you can give us your job description. We can post it at our social media. You will get a lot of response, right? So all that is included as a service to our gold members without any additional cost.
Okay. I'm already part of the StartupLanes WhatsApp group. I'm getting regular updates from you, and I would immediately I will become a gold member as soon as possible. I should get in touch with the regional executive, right?
Yeah, community managers are there. So in our contact us section of the StartupLanes website, we have mentioned the names and numbers of the community managers. In case you find any difficulty, there is a number of Anjali given, right? You can inform Anjali if you find any difficulty, anybody not picking up calls or anything, right? So she is the coordinator of entire SL team, all the everybody in the staff. So she can connect with the right kind of people. And Sanjana is here in this meeting. So Sanjana is coordinating with the entire community team. You can also inform Sanjana directly.
Sure, Shishir. And one follow-up question is, you said about valuation, that is your method of valuation is fair share valuation. I've been suggested this DCF method. No,
DCF,
which one would be
yeah, DCF is like, discounted cash flow. And DCF is a very old method. I'm not saying that this method is wrong or right, but this is not much appropriate, because DCF method asks you to assume things, right? And it does not calculate your disruption element. It does not calculate your social media. It does not calculate any patent. So after all those, carefully reviewing all the methods of valuation, I have arrived to this method because time has changed a lot. And today social media, suppose if you have negative reviews over the social media and you are selling something, your sales will be hampered by a large extent, right? It will become very, very difficult. If somebody writes, this is a fake product, or I have been cheated, and such kind of messages are there on the social media, say out of 10 reviews, 9 reviews are negative, then your valuation should be hampered. That is what I'm trying to tell you. We take care of everything. 26 points we measure, not just
Okay.
social media, but your capabilities, your backward integration opportunities, forward integration opportunities, your influence over the customers, your influence over the vendors, right? Everything we measure, and that is
Okay.
how we arrive to a very organized valuation. And so far, we have done valuation for more than 500 startups. We have never received any kind of complaint from the investors. And this valuation will be exclusively for the purpose of you to find out how much your company is worth, and for the other person, including the investors, to find out, not for the government purpose. Right? Government will not accept this valuation. So let me clarify.
Sure. I will be in touch with your community manager, and whatever you have suggested, I would like to follow up with that and pursue it. So thanks for the advice, Shishir. Thanks a lot. And I would be leaving the meeting. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You have answered all my questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks a
Thank you, sir.
lot.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much.
Nice talking to you.
Pleasure.